Today we're going to talk about credibility in the Pokemon market and how it might be impacting you. Let's first define credibility as somebody's amount of knowledge and experience in application within a particular space that can be proven or demonstrated, right? So when we talk about somebody in the Pokemon space, like credibility might be that they have a humongous collection. If we're talking about like building a big collection, I'm going to listen to someone who's been able to successfully build a big collection. Arguably even more impressive if they've done it with like a low income or something like that. If I'm talking about Pokemon business, then I'm going to be listening to somebody who has actually built a proven business over multiple years. And if we're talking about like Pokemon investing, then I'm going to be listening to someone who has an actual proven track record of buying sealed products or whatever, delaying the amount of time before they sell them, and then successfully profiting at the end. So those are ways that credibility could be demonstrated within the space. It is not, I think Dan Ketchum-All Collectibles, and I might bring him up again later in this video, but he has this like joke about cosplay investors. People who give investment advice on YouTube or like say what might be a good buy, but they're not actually vested in the product themselves. Therefore, they're kind of just giving empty nuggets of ideas, right? They're not actually giving you like some take of substance with skin in the game. And I'm attempting to do like something equivalent to that in terms of like business in the Pokemon space. I have shared publicly my revenue over the last 3 years, which I think is pretty generous information. And it's not to brag. Again, I think that I'm, if anything, underperforming relative to many other people within the space that have been in it as long as me or shorter, right? Or maybe slightly longer, whatever. All of those are true, right? So performance is certainly variable. However, I have successfully built a 6-figure business starting with $400 of seed money and without any additional infusions of cash. And so in my opinion, that's more credible than I was last year. And certainly more credible than I was the year before that. And certainly more credible than I was the year prior to that. So as time goes on, if you have consistent output within a space, your credibility should theoretically increase. Are you guys following that? So that's just kind of like the baseline of what we're talking about. And, it kind of goes into the whole like walking the walk versus talking the talk discussion. It's one thing to say all of these ideas and like share things as just like a floating head on YouTube, but it's another thing to actually put it in practice. And so in recent videos, I've actually shown you types of cards that I've purchased, and I've explained my reasoning behind purchasing those types of cards, the impact of like if it is gradable versus not gradable, what I might do with that card otherwise, if I lose money on this, then what, how it might be impacting my store in still a positive manner that elicits more profit or more sales down the line. And I think that that is walking the walk. And I think that to anyone who's actually receptive of this type of information, that's the type of video that can actually pay humongous dividends, not in a literal sense, but in terms of like a knowledge sense, over the horizon of building and developing business. And I know that when I was beginning in the space, there weren't very many people who were giving like pragmatic, objective takes or looks into their operation in that particular manner, outside of maybe some people showing some cards and being like, yeah, I just think it's got some good value. Like, I think this one might do good. Which is also like fair enough. Sometimes that pans out great for people too. And so with all that said, I think that credibility is an important thing to consider when you're listening to somebody on YouTube, especially because, like, again, for anyone out there who doesn't actually know me, like if we haven't vended together at a show or like chatted for years in a Discord server or whatever, I'm just some random dude who's claiming to have been in the hobby since 2019, who's claiming to have built a business from $400 in the course of 3 years, grown it to $100,000 in revenue. I have shared my exact split of how that revenue amount came to fruition in 2025. And so if you're interested in that, just listen to some more recent videos. Again, like, I'm trying to be as open and transparent because the purpose of this particular channel is to inform and educate and hopefully give motivation to someone else out there who might be in a similar position or who has a similar train of thought as me. Because again, prior to 2025, I had never experienced 100,000 of anything in my life. I did not grow up privileged. I did not grow up wealthy. I did not even grow up financially stable or secure. As a matter of fact, within the last I guess at least 3 generations, I think I'm the only person in my family who's actually attained a level of financial security, and that is in part because of the hobby. With the hobby, I have been able to pay off my student loans, my wife's student loans as of even pretty recently, my wife's car, my vehicle, like all of those things are paid for and covered partially because of the hobby. The hobby has also helped my family cash flow like a new heating and cooling system. My family has, we had a tree fall through our roof. Like The hobby has helped mend or cash flow or support all of these types of things over the course of the time that I've been in it, whether as a dedicated business operator or even just a hobbyist who had to offload some cards at just the right time. So that's actual concrete stuff that I have been able to do while utilizing the hobby. And again, none of that, I don't perceive that as leeching or whatever. It's a regenerative space. So all the cards that I get rid of, I eventually get that card again. Right now, I have a sequential Umbreon alt art set. It's those aren't the last Umbreon alt arts that I'll ever own or possess. You know what I mean? So it's there's plenty of these things to go around. There's plenty of opportunities that exist within this space, but you want to make sure that as it stands, again, I've even advocated step one of being successful within this space or any space is developing a comprehensive knowledge base and understanding the cyclical nature of the market. And if you're in your pursuit of acquiring knowledge like that, you just need to make sure that you're getting that information from a vetted source. And again, I'm not even going to claim so far as I am that vetted source. To some people, yes. But to other people watching this, I know for a fact that there's people that do multiple millions of dollars in revenue year over year who watch my channel as well. And it's for them, maybe they're just listening because we're buddies from Discord, right? I highly doubt that there's going to be a ton of new and insightful information that I'm dropping in these videos for somebody like that. However, maybe I'm providing them some kind of service, or perhaps it's just entertainment in the background. And again, that's useful too. But you just want to make sure that as you're developing your foundation within this space, I'm talking specifically to people who might be newer in the Pokemon market, make sure that you're getting your insight from someone who's actually credible and proven. You should not be taking reselling advice from someone who has resold $500 worth of cards before. That should be many, many thousands of dollars. And as a matter of fact, part of the reason why I stepped back from YouTube a few years ago is because I didn't feel like I was credible enough. I hadn't accomplished enough. And so I waited a couple of years, grinded my way up until I felt like my opinion might actually carry some weight and I might actually have some meaningful things to say sometimes. And is everything that I say meaningful? Certainly not. But at least I'm giving it my best shot, right? I think that, there's above a 50% chance that any random thing coming out of my mouth might be helpful to somebody in my viewership. And I've been fortunate enough to get some videos that are approaching 1,000 views, which is kind of unheard of for a channel, at least my channel being this size. But again, what I'm trying to do is build credibility here and provide value to the people who are consuming this content. Because again, I know how difficult things can, seem in life generally. And I'm not trying to turn this into a sob session or a therapy session or whatever, but it's again, finances are one of those things where it's it can almost seem like an impossible hill to climb. However, if you get exposure to other people who have successfully climbed the hill, the perception of its scalability becomes so much more tangible to you. And so if you're beginning to sell some cards from your collection, it can be extremely valuable to be listening to someone who has sold that multiple thousands of cards, right? 6 figures plus amounts of cards. It can be awfully helpful to listen to them. Just like if I'm looking into getting into investing in booster boxes, it's probably going to be helpful to go listen to someone who's actually done that. If somebody can actually show me a pallet full of sealed booster boxes, shout out Catch 'em All Collectibles, I knew it was coming again at some point. That's the dude I'm going to listen to, because I can see physically that he has, hundreds or thousands of booster boxes right there. That's a picture of it right there in real time, and he's standing next to it. That's it. That's why people listen to Alpha Investments, Rudy, because he films all of his videos in that warehouse surrounded by booster box cases. He's doing the thing because it's right there in front of you. You don't have to guess. It's not made up. It's not supposed or alleged. And so again, I think that all kind of just circles back to credibility. And here I am sitting in a rash guard, running a little bit late to jiu-jitsu class. So thank you all for watching. I'll see you on the next one.